Hi, everyone. Dave Broughton along with Bill Wagner, also known as Bobblehead Bill in these parts. A little inside joke there. Welcome to Navy Sports Chat, another football edition, Bill, as the 2009 season opener draws near, September 5th at Ohio State. The Mids have been installed as a 3-touchdown underdog
you've seen that
for entertainment purposes only. But Bill, a major storyline developed this week, and not a good one for the Navy football team. Senior nose guard Nate Frazier no longer part of the Navy football program or of the Naval Academy, as I understand. Honor code violation or situation, and so he's moving on. As you have heard, maybe South Florida might be a landing place for him. But for Navy, Bill, a huge blow. Nate Frazier, the big nose tackle, clogging up the middle, makes things easier for the rest of the defense. A big loss for the Mids.
Absolutely. Nate is the anchor of the defense, especially in a 3-4 alignment. It all starts up front, and you count on that nose guard being able to hold the point of attack. He's going to get double-teamed routinely in a 3-4 set, and Nate was just a big anchor. He held his ground. In fact, he did more than just hold his ground while taking on double teams. He could penetrate and make plays. He had 13.5 tackles for loss over the last 2 seasons. Has led defensive linemen in total tackles. So he's not just a big body plugging up the hole. He's actually also, he's shedding blocks and making plays. So as Buddy Green, the defensive coordinator, has said, as Kenyon Matalolo, the head coach, has said, Nate Frazier is the best nose guard that Navy's had in the last 10 years and maybe one of the best they've ever had. I mean, Nate Frazier is 6'3", 292 pounds, and very athletic at that size. That doesn't happen very often at Navy, that they get big guys who are that athletic. So a huge loss, and what makes it even tougher is they don't necessarily have a ready-made replacement. I mean, the drop-off from Nate Frazier to the next guys who would be replacing him is considerable.
Well, is your article in today's Capital, comments from the coaches, certainly, expressing confidence and that some guys can step up, but the bottom line is it's a big drop off. I mean, for instance, just from the drop off in weight, as you mentioned, Frazier 290 plus, and the guys they're plugging in are going to be at least 20 pounds lighter, and as the season goes on, these guys are going to wear down. It's a grueling position to play, that nose guard. You're under a lot of piles, and you're getting knocked around from getting double teamed.
Absolutely.
So talk about the guys who it's going to fall upon to try to fill this big hole.
Right. Well, the listed number 2 on the depth chart prior to Nate's departure was Chase Burge. He's a junior. He's about 6'3", 270, so he's got decent size. I think the coaching staff was very high on Chase. He was going to get a lot more repetitions this year. He did not play at all last year on the defensive line. He got into varsity games on special teams, but did not see time on the defensive line. That was going to change this year. They were confident that Chase was good enough to start giving Nate some breaks, because last year Nate Frazier didn't ever come out of the game. They didn't spell him very much because, the drop-off was too considerable. So as long as Nate could go, they were going to keep him in there. This year, they were hopeful that Chase Burge was going to be able to give Nate Frazier a little bit of a break, and so he was slated to see playing time. Now, slated to see playing time and starting and playing a lot of repetitions in a game are two different things. So I think that they know that they're going to have to get more than one guy to fill in for Nate. Jordan Stevens is a veteran guy. He's been around for several years. He's a senior. Now, he only weighs about 255 pounds thereabouts. They were going to play Jordan Stevens out on the end this year because he's a good player, has experience, and they figured with Nate he wasn't going to get a lot of playing time. So in order to get Jordan Stevens into the mix, it was better to put him at end. Well, that experiment is now over. Jordan Stevens is going to move back inside, play nose guard, and I think the combination of Chase Burge and Jordan Stevens is how they're going to try to replace Nate. And God love them. They're both good kids. I interviewed them both the other day, and they expressed confidence that, in football, it's a team thing. And the way they always say, next guy steps up, because injuries are so much a part of football, other things that occur. And so, of course, Chase Burge and Jordan Stevens are going to say, hey, we'll step in, we'll do the job, and we'll make sure that there's no drop-off. But saying it and doing it are two different things, and it's asking a lot of those two guys to try to replace Nate Frazier. They can fill in for him, but I don't know that they're going to replace him.
Well, Stevens, I think, is listed at less than 260, right?
Right, I think it was 255 or 252 or something like that. But I mean, right, he's just not. Neither of them are as big a body as Nate. And again, Nate wasn't just a big body. He's a big body who could move. He had athletic ability and great strength. So Nate was as close to a legitimate big-time Division I nose guard as Navy's had in quite some time, or at least in my memory.
So Burge and Stevens might want to have an extra baked potato at dinner tonight and from here on down the line, maybe a couple milkshakes. Well, Nate Frazier, unfortunate situation, but you've learned, he has some options outside of the academy. Can you talk about what might be ahead for Nate?
Well, I've looked into it. I mean, there have been numerous schools that once they saw the news of Nate Frazier was leaving Navy and they know what type of player he is, needless to say, many Division I schools were interested. And Nate, of course, had his own ideas and wanted to explore some things. He's from Atlanta. I have sources that have told me that he contacted Georgia Tech the day he learned that he would be leaving the Naval Academy. Georgia Tech is not interested for a variety of reasons. So I have heard of another ACC school, which I will not name, that was very interested in trying to get a hold of Nate. And the big thing is they can't contact Nate. Technically, he is still at the Naval Academy, so they cannot call him. He has to call the schools. And so the word I'm getting here lately is that South Florida, which plays in the Big East Conference, it is the program where he could land. Now, that's not definite. It's certainly not finalized. I'm sure there's a lot of hurdles that need to be cleared, but that appears to be his landing spot, South Florida.
Well, so that's the big storyline this week. A big loss for Navy. But here we've got a couple weeks left till the season opener at Ohio State, September the 5th. There's a scrimmage this week, but that is not open to the public. I understand.
Right. Friday afternoon, but it's closed to the public. Correct.
So what else between now and then? What are the mids? They just kind of they pretty much have their starters and their depth chart. Obviously, had to make a little change this week, but is a depth chart pretty much in place now? It's just a matter of just getting ready for the opener. Right.
Well, I think they're probably to the point now where they're done doing all the preseason stuff where they work on themselves and try to figure out the depth and set. Now they're getting to work on Ohio State, and of course they've been doing a little of that all along. But now here in the next 2 weeks, you really hone in on Ohio State. I think starting on Monday, they basically create the scout teams for both defense and offense, and it's all about preparing for Ohio State. The scout team defense is going to do what Ohio State does to give the offense a look, and similarly, the scout team offense is going to do what Ohio State does to give the defense a look. So the next 2 weeks are about honing in on Ohio State. We had mentioned before we went on, the rest of the Navy defense, here's the good news for Navy fans. Navy has very experienced defense. Nate Frazier is a loss, but there are a lot of other very talented players on that Navy defense. They're extremely deep at defensive end. They have Mike Walsh, Matt Nichek, Jabari Tawani, all very good players who have seen a lot of playing time. So, these two nose guards that are having to fill in for Nate are not going to have the world on their shoulders. They've got a lot of good players around them. Linebackers, Navy's outstanding at the linebacker position this year. Ross Pospisil, the inside linebacker, is the leading returning tackler. Tony Haberer, the other inside linebacker, very good player, has been around, has experience. They have another guy coming on at that position, Tyler Simmons, to the point that he's challenging those two guys I just mentioned for playing time. Clint Sovey, who has been one of the best linebackers at Navy for the last 3 years, he's moved from inside linebacker to outside linebacker because they're so deep at inside linebacker. The best way to get Clint on the field and have him be a playmaker is at outside linebacker. So, and then I should definitely mention Wyatt Middleton, the safety, who, some people would argue that he was Navy's best defensive player last year, even more so than Nate. So, Navy has got a lot of other very good defenders, a lot of experience on that side of the ball, and I don't think that Navy is going to see a huge drop-off in their defensive performance just because Nate Frazier's no longer around.
Okay, Bill, that's a good wrap-up on the defense there as we move forward, and that's another Navy Sports Chat Football Edition, and Bill and I will be back next week.